She thought being beautiful would be enough to make him stay, enough to be chosen, enough to be loved. It wasn't. The glow from the candlelight, along with the soft music playing in the background, was mood inducing. The restaurant did a perfect job of creating a romantic atmosphere for Valentine's Day. It was intimate. Love floated in the air like the smell of warmed old fashioned peach cobbler. Ashley, 27, looked around, unable to fully get into the vibe. All the love in the room amplified her emotions. For 2 weeks, she dropped a dump truck's worth of hints that Samuel had not picked up. Now wasn't the right time to bring it up, but she was ready to burst. Samuel was so handsome. His eyes were the most beautiful she had seen on a man. The image of a little boy and girl, 2 years apart, with his eyes, but with her hazel and green flecks, filled her imagination. Only if, she sighed, frustrated that after 6 months, she did not know where their relationship stood. There were times like this that even though they were having a romantic dinner, he felt a million miles away. And there were other times while watching TV and he would put his head in her lap that she could hardly breathe from feeling so close to him. Ashley elongated her spine and pushed out her chest, hoping to pull his attention away from his phone. She selected her outfit purposefully because it was so sexy. Without a bra, her blouse molded to her breast perfectly, and the miniskirt showed off her toned thighs. She looked good, and they were the perfect couple, or she hoped they were. Ashley batted her eyelashes and fingered her hair. Sam? He looked up from his phone and placed it face down on the table. Yeah, what's up? Well, a couple of weeks ago, I heard you talking to your brother Michael on the speakerphone about your family trip in April. And I heard him say that he was bringing his girlfriend. It kind of hurt my feelings because you haven't asked me to go with you. Oh, the muscles in Samuel's jaws twitched as his eyes bounced around the room. He didn't speak right away, which drove Ashley bonkers. After what felt like forever, he said, Yeah, so, Kayla's going because that's his girlfriend, and she's been around for a few years. So, what are we? Are we not together? Her stomach tightened as a mixture of fear and relief flooded her bloodstream. The question had haunted her for weeks, but until this moment, she had been too afraid to ask. Samuel scooted up in his chair and let his shoulders drop. Look, we do what we do. We hang out. We have a good time. Now, no need to complicate things. He tried to grab her hand, but she retracted it. What does that even mean? Do you or do you not see a future with me? Do you ever plan on introducing me to your family? Or am I just some plaything? Ashley's voice rose higher than planned, drawing the attention of the surrounding tables. For seconds, their eyes warred. Finally, he shook his head. I like you. We have lots of fun, but no, I don't see a future with you. You're beautiful and all. His eyes dropped to her chest. But you are not wife material. His statement was a slap in the face. Ashley spent hours in the gym, keeping her body tight, and she made sure to look good for him every time they were together, even on those unexpected late night visits. She didn't pressure him for things or ask a lot of questions. She was always down for whatever. Why wasn't she enough? What about her wasn't wife material? Samuel continued to speak, but Ashley tuned him out. This so-called Valentine's date was over. She grabbed her clutch and bolted from the table. Ashley stormed out of the restaurant and down the street with tears in her eyes. She wasn't even in love, but she was falling, hoping that she wasn't falling alone. Samuel was the total package: handsome, educated, good job, and lots of fun. She wasn't vain, but she knew she was a 10. Beautiful, with long hair and an hourglass shape, and looked great on his arm. People complimented them every time they were out. So why was this happening again? Why couldn't men ever see her heart? Hey, Ash, wait up. Samuel came bounding out of the restaurant behind her, but she was not stopping. Goosebumps rose on her skin from the chill in the night air. Stomping down a random street was not part of the plan, and she didn't bring a coat because her outfit was too sexy to be covered up. Ash! Samuel called out again. She looked around the street to get her bearings. In her anger, she wasn't paying attention to where she was going. She only wanted to get away from him. She refused to let another man see her cry. Ash, man, it's not safe out here, and I'm not following you all night. She looked around. He was right. Being in the middle of downtown was foolish. But when she recognized the building up the block, relief swept over her. She picked up the pace and walked to the side door of a large 4-story building. Above the door was a sign that read, Auntie's Garden. She opened it, then ran down the stairs. It was a wonder that she didn't break her ankle going that fast in 5-inch heels. Inside, the scent of honeysuckle and vanilla welcomed her in like a warm blanket. Ricky nodded her head as Ashley took a few steps further inside the room. Hey, no men allowed. Ricky jumped up from her stool by the door, throwing her little body in Samuel's path, who was right behind Ashley. Ash, where you going? Samuel huffed. He sighed, but didn't move past Ricky, who he could have easily pushed out of the way. The conversation in the room halted, and Julia rose to her feet. What is going on? She asked, noticing Ashley at the back of the room and Samuel at the door. Did this man hurt you? Her question immediately put the other women in the room on guard while her eyes examined Ashley's face and body. Chairs screeched against the floor as women jumped up from their chairs, forming a human shield around Ashley. Ricky at the door bent over, opened a cabinet, and reached for something. No, I haven't touched her, Samuel inserted, throwing both hands in the air. Ashley looked at Julia. No, he didn't, but he said some hurtful things. She crossed her arms over her chest in a pout. Samuel shook his head. I don't know what this is, but Ashley, you seem to be safe, so I'm out. He turned to leave. Young man, wait, please, if you don't mind, Julia asked. The glint in her eyes showed her curiosity. Julia pulled Ashley to the side, and they spoke privately, then stepped back over to the group. My name is Julia. Ashley is my niece. What you have walked into is a gathering, a sister circle, where women meet to learn, heal, and grow. I understand you are Samuel, and that you and my niece had a disagreement tonight while at dinner. We normally don't allow men inside this room, but Ashley has agreed to discuss the issue here in the group to gain understanding. Would you mind staying for a few minutes longer so she can have clarity? Samuel looked around the room and then at Ricky, who was half his size and was guarding him. Ah, nah. So I can get jumped by a bunch of women? I'll pass. No, darling, not at all. This is a safe space. We don't disrespect one another in this room. I think your coming in the way you did presents us with a unique opportunity to hear a man's perspective. And when possible, it is best to hear things directly from the horse's mouth. Samuel stared at Julia for a few moments. Sure, why not? Julia directed Samuel to an empty chair in the circle and then started with the questions. Now, Ashley, explain why you are so upset, and remember to listen, not to rebut, but for understanding and perspective. Yes, Auntie, I know. Ashley looked down at her fingers. I asked Sam why he didn't invite me on his family vacation, since we've been dating for over 6 months. I heard him talking to his brother, who is bringing his girlfriend. He basically told me I was cool to kick it, but not wife material. She made air quotes with her fingers. Some women in the room made faces but did not speak. Do you want to get married? Julia asked. Ashley shook her head. Yes, eventually. And what were you hoping to get out of this relationship? Ashley shifted in her seat and dropped her gaze. I was hoping to be loved. She spoke the last part in a whisper because, although she never uttered her desires to Samuel, she hoped he would see the value in her and take their relationship to the next level, but that never happened. All of her last few relationships ended because of the same problem. Ashley wondered if she was picking the wrong men, or was she the problem? Julia looked at Samuel, who was visibly uncomfortable. Samuel, what's your side? How did you view this relationship? He explained that while he enjoyed her company, he didn't see them as being in a relationship. He used the term intimacy without commitment. All eyes were on Ashley, who sat up in her seat. Auntie Julia squeezed her hand, encouraging her to relax as Samuel continued. I mean, look at her. No disrespect, but do you expect me to take someone who dresses like that to meet my mom? It's been nothing but good times with her, but nothing serious. Ashley tugged at her miniskirt and crossed her hands over her top. Describe to me what a potential wife looks like. Someone who you would take to meet your mother, Julia asked. Someone beautiful like Ashley, but toned down. She can be sexy when we go out, but not all the time. I'll admit, it's what attracted me to her at first, but that is all the time. When I'm ready to settle down, there has to be more to my woman than what we do and what she looks like. She needs to have a career, goals, purpose, and substance. Someone who will make me a better man. Someone who I can take to church. Ashley's eyes ballooned. She had a hard time containing herself, but she kept quiet. He paused for a few moments and then continued. How a woman carries herself tells us everything we need to know, which we can see in the first few seconds of laying eyes on her. I never meant to hurt Ashley's feelings. I thought she knew what was up. Thank you, Samuel. We won't hold you any longer. Julia ended by giving him a hug and seeing him to the door. A few women smiled at him as he awkwardly left the room, with Ricky not letting him out of her sight until the upstairs door latched. Julia sat back down and didn't immediately speak. Ashley's mind was moving a mile a minute. What he said hurt, but she searched to find if there was any truth in it. Was that how people saw her? Did they only see the outside? She thought if she looked a certain way, that men would fall at her feet, which they did, but apparently it wasn't enough for them to stay around. Well, that's a first. Julia broke the silence, then looked at Ashley, whose gaze remained on the floor. Ladies, forgive me, but I'm going to cut our meeting short tonight. My baby has had a hard time, and I think she needs one-on-one time with her auntie. But before we end, I want Ashley to know that there is not a woman in this room who has not been in her shoes. Raise your hands if you know what I'm talking about. Ashley teared up seeing the women in the room, both young and old, raise their hands. Thank you, ladies. You can stay and eat it for as long as you want. Julia grabbed Ashley's hand and led her out of the room. Once in Julia's office, Ashley's eyes landed on at least 4 vases of roses sitting on the table and desk. I will not keep you long. I just want to give you some food for thought, because unless you come to an understanding in your spirit, you won't learn from what happened tonight. Auntie, I heard what he said, and it hurt. And if I'm going to be honest, the few relationships before him ended because I started feeling like they didn't take me seriously, like I was a toy. How do I get a man to really see me? There is so much pressure on us from society to look a certain way, especially you younger girls. We feast on those lies and pour more energy into our external appearance than working on the inner man, because we see women dressed up like vixens on social media getting all of the attention. Baby, you are beautiful, but I believe you are selling yourself short. That young man listed what he wanted in a woman and stated some things that I know for a fact that you have, like your education and goals. You are smart, graduated from an Ivy League college, and I'm trying to figure out why he doesn't know that. When a woman walks into a room, she directs attention. The question is, are you directing attention to your body or here? Julia pointed her finger to the side of Ashley's head. Now, if you don't listen to anything I say, hear this. Beauty can snag them, but it won't keep them. Find value within yourself and become the person you want to be. You said you want to be a wife. Then you have to become a wife first before you ever get a man. And before you open your mouth to say that I'm old-fashioned, hear me. Time moves on, but human nature doesn't. You see all these flowers in here? Ashley's eyes scanned the 4 vases of roses that she had noticed when they first walked into the office. They are from 2 different men, Charles and Jefferson. We are just friends. I never even kissed them, only gone out on dates, but both have proposed to me more than once because they see me here and here. She pointed first to her head and then to her heart. Ooh, Auntie still got it. Ashley clicked her fingers. Do you think you will ever get married again? Julia leaned back in her chair. I don't know. I'm 62, and I'm kind of set in my ways. Besides, your late Uncle Daniel was the best husband a woman could have. Charles and Jefferson are wonderful men, but I'm not sure that they can compete with him. But back to you. I'm going to take you home, but when you get there, I want you to read Proverbs 31. It's the story of a model wife. Read it with an open heart and mind and see what you can learn. Later that night, while reading Proverbs 31 in the Bible, Ashley became inspired. She wanted to be respected like the woman that she read about. Tonight was emotionally taxing on her, but she was tired of making the same mistakes and knew it was time to change. Auntie Julia was right. She had been selling herself short because being beautiful and desirable wasn't enough to sustain a relationship. After thinking about it, she was going to stop dating for a while and take time for herself to learn and grow. She was more than something to be seen, more than a beautiful face and a tight body. She was valuable, worthy, and someone's future wife. If this story spoke to you, you're not alone. Subscribe for a new uplifting story every week.